Yes, it is.
Please describe how that training occurred.
I was a member of the first Minneapolis Police Cadet Program, and along with many other candidates, we received training, both academic training on the laws of the state of Minnesota. We received training as it relates to everything from driving and defensive tactics, community relations, and so we also, there's post requirements of Minnesota Post Officer Standards and Training to receive our license. There was a test that we had to take then. There was also scenario-based training as well, to grade and assess how we performed during that training in the academy. And so that was part of that important training that I received along with my candidates at the academy.
And that was the very first Minneapolis Police Academy?
That is correct.
And a trainee at the academy is that trainee referred to as a cadet?
That is correct.
At your employment, you've been continuously employed as in the Minneapolis Police Department since, was that 1989?
That is correct, sir.
Has the academy changed since you first were a cadet back in 1989?
It has. And while I certainly believe that at the time back in 1989 that training was important, like any police department, we should not be monolithic. Our communities are not monolithic. Our training should evolve. We should be focused on what are national best practices. And so the training that our recruits and cadets get today, and rightfully so, is far better than the training that I received those years ago.
It's important. Like, I don't want my kids, like, now, Mimi is our matriarch. There's a lot of things that we don't know about our family history. So now we're trying to pull the pieces together and to know what you came from. Like, I'm making sure my kids know what kind of woman she was. That woman had 13 children. She had grandchildren. She buried 8 of her own children, her parents, everything, and she never gave up. She never quit. No matter what, she wouldn't complain. Like, literally, she wouldn't complain. She would say, you know what, that wasn't the route. I'd turn around, we'll do something else. She never gave up. And when you thought that you were going to give up, she would say, no, 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 because this could be worse. You could be this, you could be that. You can figure this out. There's a way.
And with that characteristics that she displayed, I mean, I'm getting chill bumps just hearing you describe your grandmother in that light, because just imagine if we empowered the young people with that sense of purpose and awareness, what that would do for the next generation.
It'd be great. When I was younger, even some of my older cousins would tell me, hey, you're going to regret that. Don't do that. And I know everything. I'm fine. And it wasn't until I got to maybe 5 years ago where I realized everything that they told me, had I listened from people who had already experienced it, been through it, learned it, things might have been a little bit different from me. It's important. They say, I've been your age, you haven't been mine. And it's a lot of power behind that. Because a lot of times what it is we don't want the younger generation to experience what we experience. I'm trying to break some generational curses here. I'm trying to let it stop. Like, we only get so far. Like, it's time. And now that we have the 2020 vision, we can see clearly. It's got to stop.
Well, why don't you look in that camera, and we're going to close out. That's right. And we're going to close out with this, because you have said some very profound things today and share with everybody your heart. Why don't you just share with them the love and what you'd ultimately like to see in 10 or 20 years from the McClain family and what this moment should bring forth?
What I'd like to see for the McClain family is togetherness. A lot of our kids don't know each other. We've all went our separate ways. And that's all she was about, was together, family, to be together. You don't got nobody else in this world, but you got your family. So I would like for it to be connected back to where our roots were.
And that's what we hope to leave for the next 2 or 3 generations.
All of them.
All of them. Keep going. That's what our message is today. Really, is about family and keeping it going and passing it forward. And by starting today and starting in this method, we're able to carry it forth.
And possibly for Saturday and Sunday's responses to the park as well. To begin, this incident began after a traffic stop, and the traffic stop led to both the driver, the police officer, driver of the police car, and the passenger each seeing a firearm on Mr. McLean that led to a foot chase, and 2 shots rang out. One of those shots struck Mr. McLean in what was described by doctors at HMH at the flank of the body, which is in between the front and back, which could either be because of the angle of the officer or because the individual was beginning to turn. We do know so far is that Mr. McLean was in possession of the handgun, did have it in his waistband before he took it out. He did begin to run from the officers holding that weapon, and at one point began to turn to look at the officer behind him. So the rumors of there being a no gun on the individual is completely false. Unfortunately for the community, the wrong message has gotten out. In some way, we need to shift the criticism back to the chief of police in our department to ensure we're talking about whether we should have shot an armed person during a foot pursuit or not, and not whether he was armed, nor was there several shots to the back, or whether he was laying on the ground. Now, just to say it, some may not believe it, so therefore, over the next 48 hours, we will release our critical incident video. We hope it's in 24 hours, which would be a quick release with the redacting that we must do. So that'll be part of what we want to do to get the information out.